So when you expand into the fourth density and you cross that threshold, then your transformation, or rather your expansion, will continue to increase. But your transformation, if we were to use that word in the way that we are inferring in this particular session, your transformation will actually be less. Now, why is this so? Hi, it's Muzz, iEvolv. Thank you very much for being here again this week. I got my old phone back. Amazing. Somebody who took my phone by mistake. They thought it was their phone because the cover is very similar. They realised what they'd done and they spent 2 weeks doing some detective work to track down the person who actually owned the phone, which is me. I'd put out some feelers to see if anyone knew where my phone was, and this person eventually was led to me. So God bless to them, and God bless to just the way that worked out. I got my phone back. It's fantastic. My most recent book is continuing to get really great reviews. If you haven't read it yet, then I recommend you do. It's very easy to read. The audiobook is also available, which is only a few hours. And this is going to give you an insight into channeling, which you are not going to get anywhere else. This really is leading edge information, cutting edge. And will give you the inside track. It's going to drastically shorten your journey to becoming a channeler. The link for the book is below this video. Also below the video is another link which goes to an inquiry form if you have an interest in getting a private channeling from me. All you need to do is fill out the inquiry form, and that just begins a conversation. It doesn't obligate you to anything. And on to today's topic. It is: what is the state of humanity's transformation? This won't be a long one today. I have service people coming to the house soon, and so I've just got a small window today where I can get this channeling done. So this will probably be a short one. Greetings and thank you for the question. What is the state of humanity's transformation? We have decided to channel on this particular question this week because in last week's channel, some of the information that came through was, we would say, slightly misinterpreted by the channeler. So we would like to clarify what was that came through, and also we're going to expand on this idea a little bit more. So let us begin in this way. In last week's channeling, the channeler did say that the transformation which is occurring for us is much greater than the transformation occurring for you, the human species. And while this is correct, it is also incorrect. And it really comes down to a matter of definitions. So we would like to clarify and shine some light on the nuance, so this can be an idea which you can appreciate more. Because the way that it was interpreted the first time and spoken to you by the channeler, we felt that it was a little depleting of the enthusiasm and also the self-admiration which we think is worthy for you, the human being, at this time. So, our transformation is dramatic, you could say, but the transformation isn't really the most accurate word. We are expanding. This is a more accurate description of what is occurring to us as a species as we make our way back to the full recognition and realization that we are the one and always have been. So, we are expanding very, very quickly. And if you were to quantify this, then we are expanding faster than you are. But really, this is just a consequence of being in the higher matrices, where the capacity for expansion is greatly enhanced. And as we are going through that particular phase of our journey back to the full realization, then very consequential to being in that environment is we are expanding very, very rapidly. Whereas you, the human being, your species, you are expanding at a slower rate. So when you expand into the fourth density and you cross that threshold, then your transformation, or rather your expansion, will continue to increase. But your transformation, if we were to use that word in the way that we are inferring in this particular session, your transformation will actually be less. Now, why is this so? This is because what is occurring here for humanity at this time is something which is very unique and profound. So, with this use of the word transformation, we are meaning that transforming from one thing into another thing, the difference between these two things from which you are leaving to which you are becoming, the difference in them is so dramatic that the transformation is also dramatic. And so in this regard, the transformation which is occurring for you, the human species, is actually more than the transformation that is occurring for us, even though we are expanding faster than you are. And this is because our journey, we are already on the path. We already have many fundamental understandings, which means that we are now becoming more of what we already are. We are becoming more of what we have known ourselves to be for a very long time. And in this way, it is like a tree growing to become a bigger tree. It is a transformation, yes, but it's not really a transformation in the way that it is a rock becoming a tree, or it is a banana becoming an apple, where it is a very dramatic change from one thing into another thing, which is entirely different from the origin source. So, we are expanding very rapidly, but we are becoming more of what we already are. Humanity, on the other hand, you really are transforming. The species that you are destined to become, in comparison to the species you are now, is very different. Very different. And so the transformation you are going through, therefore, is very coveted by other entities which are observers of what is occurring here. Because throughout their journey of incarnations and going through the different levels of density on their way back to realizing they are the one, they have never had the fortune and the opportunity to be fully forgetful of the three fundamental understandings: that you are connected to the one, that you are connected to each other, and that you are the light and nothing but the light. Because this is the default state into which all sentient beings are birthed into creation, except for the very rare cases which have occurred here in your solar system, then it is a very unusual, and it could be argued through the full vastness of the cosmos which we are familiar with, it is an almost unheard of phenomenon to go through that type of transformation. Because a being which knows itself to be those things, those three fundamental understandings, and a being that does not know those three fundamental understandings are two very different beings. And we know this from observing you, the human species, and comparing that to what we know of ourselves, what we know of our history, and also what we know of the neighborhood in which we find ourselves, our galactic neighbors. We can see that there is a commonality that we share with our galactic neighbors who have also been birthed into creation, already in possession of these three fundamental understandings. And you as a species, are radically different. And this means that it sets up this scenario where you are going to go through a transformation which is so incredible, so drastic, so vast, so awakening. The bolt of realization that is going to pass through you as a species will be felt as a ripple across the entire cosmos, because it will be such an aha moment. It will be a gasp which is felt by humanity as a single being. And that gasp will emit such a profound wave of energy that it will be felt far, far, far from here. And when it is felt, it will carry within it a message or a harmony or a frequency which will literally imbue all those that receive it with a new level of understanding of the light, of the darkness, of themselves, of transformation, of an understanding of what it means to be one thing and then another thing, entirely different in an instant. So, you can be greatly excited that this is something which is on the horizon for your species. And also, take this understanding and use it to have a greater appreciation for what is occurring here and what an incredible gift and blessing you have been received. Being incarnated as a human being at this time is a rare honor and a highly coveted opportunity. There are many trillions who would trade places with you in a moment to have that uniqueness of experience. Because as they have been expanding across the densities for what would be considered many millions of years in the Earth concept of time, even so, across the many thousands of lives they've had, they have never had an experience which in any way resembles what you are about to have here on Earth. So, make sure that when the time approaches, that you are ready for that moment. Meaning that in your life now, you begin making choices and observations of self and integrations into your environment, which are all for the purpose of harmonizing you with, yes, your survival, of course, because if you do not survive, then you do not make it to the crescendo. But also that harmonizes you into the event which is approaching, into this transformation of the human species, this mass realization and awakening which sweeps across your population as a wave of new beingness, new eyes, new heart, new energetic state. And the way that you make this preparation is to be as much of the light as you practically can be in every moment of your life, every day. We understand that you cannot be the saint that walks about and does nothing but the gesture of light, the extrapolations of love. You have responsibilities, you have expectations. There are things which you must do so that this survival component can be intertwined into your journey from where you are now to the crescendo. So, as much as is possible for you, be a being of the light. Live in the light. Act from the light. Be as virtuous as you can manage at all times. Be honest. Be dignified. Be a being of integrity and honesty and courage and compassion and empathy. Do what is most natural for you, because it is these qualities which are a true manifestation of the beingness which resides at the very heart of who you are, the eternal energetic being. Because these are manifestations of the light of your Creator. And ultimately, this is what you are. You are the light of your Creator. So, let us finish in this way. Humanity has transformed somewhat compared to what it used to be. But it hasn't been an upward journey the entire distance. There has been peaks and there has been troughs, and then there has been peaks. And so humanity at this time, you could say, is emerging from one of these troughs and is heading towards a new peak. But what will be different about this time compared to the past is that humanity's awakening is now much more inclusive of the population. So there have been human beings that have ascended, that have moved into the fourth density. But although those precursors made the journey, there was the greater bulk of humanity that did not make that transition and continued to be incarnated within the third density cycle. However, what is different this time is that humanity has the possibility to ascend into the fourth density as a special group, because the momentum of awakening, the rising of the light, the realization of the presence of the darkness and the way that it has been manipulating your reality to steer you away from the light, to drive you deeper into the darkness. The realization that you are the eternal being. These realizations, when combined with this final realization that you are the light and nothing but the light, which will be the moment of passing through the singularity of ascension and emerging from the birth canal into the gestatory womb of the fourth density. This is an inclusive phenomenon where you are, as a species, rather than select individuals that are sprinkled about your planet, are going through these same changes, these same transformations. And it is the darkness that is making it possible for you. So as the darkness rises, as you can see that it is, as it becomes more looming and more impending with these dramatic changes of its own, which it wishes to foist onto humanity, realize that it is, in its own way, giving its greatest service to humanity, because it is through the blatant cruelty and dishonesty and unfairness of the darkness that you are being awoken more and more as a species to the light. And so this can be used to speed and emphasize and amplify your awakening as the darkness looms, as it begins to approach closer and closer, now that you can feel it breathing on the back of your neck. Allow it, this phenomenon, to drive you more and more into the light, to remind you that you are in fact the virtuous being And it is when you are the virtuous being that you are most yourself, that you are most authentic, that you are most aligned with the eternal, energetic being that you actually are. And this is alignment with the ascension. This is getting yourself into place for the transformation, which is coveted by trillions. The formula is very, very simple. And so it is up to you to start making that journey, or rather, to continue making that journey and not allow any of the forces which wish to derail you, which wish to distract you, which wish to drive a wedge between you and your destiny, do not have their way. We understand that if you are here watching this now, that you are already well on your journey, and much of what we are saying is already within your understanding. So this message is a message not so much to educate you, but rather to remind you, but rather to encourage you to stay on the path, to continue to be focused on the light within and also the light within others, so that your natural impulse is one of unity, because this is a recognition that the time for unity is now, that the time for oneness is on the horizon. And it is this oneness, this unity, this recognition that you're all the one being, which will be intricately interwoven into the ascension experience. And you will emerge from the other side as the transformed being, but even more so, as the transformed species. Thank you, and we love you. I don't really have a story today, but I thought you may enjoy to see the kind of lifestyle that I have now. It's a blessing that the cheapest things in life are often the best things in life. Like Bango, he's one of the best things in my life. He's almost free. He was free, I got him to the rescue, so I didn't pay anything for him, but it cost very little for me to have him. And it's 11 PM now. We didn't have a chance to come to the beach today because my son was using the scooter all day. So I'm here now. Just give you a bit of a scan. You can't really see much because it's dark. That's not my house, by the way. It's the hotel on the beach. But it's 11 PM. I've just come down with Bango and had a swim at the beach, which is it's fantastic. It's like a dreamscape, but it didn't cost me a cent. So I hope that you are able to enjoy the free things in your life the same way that I am. Love you, and I'll see you again next week. Bye bye.